All right. This is a recording for Nick D. Valencia, Vice President, Sales, Bush Brothers and Company. Nick D. Valencia was evaluated on 5/30 of 2024 for the position of Vice President of Sales for Bush Brothers. This position reports to Jennifer Flegman Davis and will play a key role in the development of the sales organization. Nick presents with a number of strengths as well as a few limitations. Taken in the aggregate, we feel that he is a candidate worth consideration for this position. The following paragraph should help illuminate this overall positive recommendation. Period. Paragraph. Nick is a 1992 graduate of public high school in Quebec City. He subsequently attended college in Quebec City, and following that graduation went to work. He has no additional formal education. Born in Colombia, South America, he has many early travel experiences. He's multilingual, and additionally is one who's social, outgoing, and rather gregarious in his nature. While Spanish and English come easy, he does suggest that French is sometimes hard for him. Over the course of the interview, he was engaged. He demonstrated a good sense of humor. He occasionally was overly detailed in his description of issues, but overall, he had a good balance in his social discourse. Was comfortable in the interview process and was open, disclosive, and vulnerable. Through the process, he self-describes key strengths as the ability to form and hold close friends. He feels that he's a strong planner and organizer and a good problem solver. He feels that he's direct in his relationships with others, but yet is able to maintain a degree of respect. It's clear that he does enjoy people and engages socially. Despite his somewhat gregarious nature and verbosity, he does appear to listen well and thoughtfully take in complex interrogatives. He self-identifies strengths as being possibly too respectful, and sometimes he thinks he struggles with others that don't get it, that don't lean forward in a sufficiently energetic manner. At times he feels he might neglect his network, more evidence that his social need is strong. But he does obviously enjoy engagement. As mentioned before, throughout the course of the interview, he was open, vulnerable, and appeared to be quite honest in his self-evaluation as well as his evaluation of others. His impression of Bush Brothers, he feels that seems to have very, very good people manifesting a degree of humility. He recognizes that Bush is looking for some variety as well as someone who might challenge the status quo. And he does worry that he might be too polite and not direct enough. Testing, paragraph. Testing reveals a somewhat greater than average social need, but not much so for Nick. He scores above average on the intellectual screening, but his actual intellect is deemed to be sufficient to meet the demands of the role. He can be emotionally reactive and sometimes feel some gyrations in emotional tone, but overall he'll be stable and consistent in his presentation. He does lean forward. He has a degree of achievement need, and while sufficiently dominant to meet most situations, he will balance his dominant streak with appropriate deferentialness to authority. He has seriousness and a purpose when he is engaged in work, and he seeks to be conscientious and dutiful with regards to hitting his marks. He leans forward in social circumstances and sometimes may behave more social and engaged than he fully appears. This does seem a little incongruent with the behavioral observations from the interview section of this evaluation. He has a pragmatic appreciation for people and situations, and while he can be sensitive to emotional states, his pragmatism generally will win through. Trusting in nature, grounded in his approach. He tries to be direct in his relationships and sometimes will defer from this directness in order to maintain appropriate sensitivity. His self-assurance is sufficient to meet most demands. He has a traditional view of life and work. He does enjoy working with and around people. He does have an eye for detail, but shouldn't be so heads down as to constrict his overall performance. He generally brings a relaxed persona and a comfortable style to work. Paragraph, overall, we feel that Nick presents a strong candidacy for this role and is worthy of consideration based on the psychological aspects of the interview and the testing. We see no limitations in making a positive recommendation at the end. All right, new recording. This report for Steve McBrayer, McBrayer. Candidate is Vice President of Supply Chain, Louisiana Pacific Corporation. Steve McBrayer was evaluated on 8/1 of 2024 for the position of Vice President, Supply Chain, reporting to Brad Southern. Steve participated fully in the interview process, was cooperative and reciprocal in the interview process. The following following paragraph should be helpful in evaluating his candidacy. Paragraph. Steve is a 1988 graduate of Maryville High School in Maryville, Tennessee. He subsequently attended the University of Tennessee, graduating in 93 with a degree in biomedical engineering. Self-report, grades better than 3.5. Although he didn't get into medical school, which was a goal, he did subsequently earn an MBA at the University of Tennessee again in supply chain. Through the interview, Steve reveals himself as a friendly and social individual, manifesting a degree of humility, an authentic style, and an open and verbal nature. Additional history includes an individual active in sports, a football player, attended Boys State. In college, he was in a fraternity, played intramural sports, and worked throughout his early years, usually helping his dad and doing odd jobs. Entering the workforce in somewhere around 93. It's a little slow getting off out of the chute, but it started off with Lowe's in logistics and has been in logistics-related work ever since. His position with American Water in 2000 is really a direct antecedent to the roles that he has today. So he's learned by doing in that particular industry. He comes from a close family in his family of origin. He's currently undergoing some family strife in his current relationship. He does have two grown children who seem to be doing fine. Steve describes his key strengths as relationship orientation. Feels like he's got good emotional intelligence and he reads others pretty well. He thinks his social engagements are above average, that he listens well, and he is known for manifesting integrity. On the downside, he feels he may not be inclusive enough at times, that he might need to go deeper in some relationships, as well as broaden himself. His downside, self-assessment, is not particularly well developed, and this might be an area that he might improve his self-awareness in. Testing reveals an individual who is fairly social in his a public endeavor. Intelligence is important to him, and he likes to do a good job. He likes to be evaluated positively. Emotionally, he's stable and resourceful, and will be consistent through difficult times as well as good times. He has sufficient dominance to meet most strong personalities, although he's not so dominant as to become overly stubborn or intractable in relationships. He generally brings sufficient energy to animate any particular situation. He leans forward socially and actively engages. He maintains a recognition of rules and guidelines and seeks to be appropriately compliant to such. He has a pragmatic view of people and situations and does see things as they are without embellishment and without period. Trusting in nature, grounded in style, he tends to be forthright in his relationships, but cautious in new relationships or where he is on unsure footing. His self-confidence is typically stable, typically good enough to meet the need. He's open-minded, can be flexible, and be willing to change, yet he may need a little bit of convincing. He enjoys working with people, but can be more self-sufficient if required. His greater nature is to be engaged in a team-oriented activity. Occasionally, his perfectionism, coupled with his desire to be compliant, will get him a little overwrought in the detail. At times, he may need to step back, let his people lead, and make sure he is staying on top of circumstances. Generally, he'll bring forth a relaxed and comfortable style, interacting with grace with a wide variety of others. From a personality and temperamental standpoint, he should be a relatively easy fit to the majority of the individuals in the company. Paragraph, we recommend Steve McBrayer as meeting the psychological qualifications for the demands of VP Supply Chain at Louisiana Pacific Corporation. If any additional information is required, please reach out. The end.